Hello, everyone. I'm Robyn Grable, the founder of Talents Ascend and the Ascend Collective, and your host for Ascending Beyond Barriers. Welcome. Ascending Beyond Barriers is an inspiring podcast dedicated to showcasing the remarkable journeys of small business founders who have faced and overcome significant challenges on their path to success. Each episode delves into the personal stories of entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds, highlighting their unique experiences, struggles, and triumphs. Today, we're excited to welcome Monica Fullerton. She is a trailblazing entrepreneur, Air Force spouse, and twin mom, recognized on Forbes' Next 1000, the Mighty 25, and the Inc. Female Founder 200 list. She founded Spousely to provide military families and veterans with a platform to market their products and services no matter where duty calls. A strategic leader with a passion for business growth and community building, Monica has dedicated her career to creating opportunities for military entrepreneurs. Now, through her Build, Launch, and Thrive course, she's helping early-stage e-commerce entrepreneurs lay the foundation for lasting success. So excited to talk with you today, Monica. We've known each other for a while. Welcome to the Ascending Beyond Barriers podcast. We know that you've got a lot of things you're doing and a lot of things we want the listeners to hear. So just welcome and thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Robyn. I'm so excited to chat with you today. And it's just been a true honor being a part of one another's journey over the past few years. And I'm just so proud of you and everything you've continued to accomplish. So
thank you. Well, right back at you. I mean, you are a powerhouse and certainly an inspiration for me. And you have been many times. You know, we talk a lot about, especially on this podcast where we're talking about ascending beyond barriers and people, you know, breaking those barriers and having struggles and triumphs. You really need people like you to reach out to who have been there and done those things. And I love how you share. You know, a lot of people see all the good things on social media, and it's like being a small business owner and entrepreneur is not all rainbows and roses every day. It is hard work. And I love how you share your struggles. So let's start there and kind of talk about something as you created Spousely. What was your motivation? And then what has been kind of your struggles and your triumphs in that whole journey? You're 5 years old now, right?
Yes, we just turned 5. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
So yes, it's been a journey, and honestly, Spousely stemmed out of my own pure frustration and inspiration as a military spouse. You know, for me, I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I've been around entrepreneurs my whole life. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but entrepreneurship, just like you said, is one of those things where it is filled with so many ups and downs, and there's just, it's a roller coaster. I mean, there's so many winding turns. You're hanging upside down half the time. The roller coaster stops. Like, I mean, there's just so many things involved on the journey.
There is.
And so for me, I've always taken entrepreneurship very seriously in terms of I never wanted to just start a company to start a company. I wanted to create a company that made a greater impact and something that personally fueled my fire that I knew I could help others continue to shine. I always talk about how, you know, my motto in life is helping others shine in business. And that truly is just who I've always been. I'm one of those people that can just, you know, see somebody maybe that has a hobby and I go up to them like, hey, have you considered like, you know, selling online and doing like this? And, you know, just all these things. I feel like I'm a mix of a idea fairy, but an idea fairy that takes action. So, but yeah, so entrepreneurship, you know, is one of those things where I feel like, this is my personal opinion on it. You know, you can't just be seeking entrepreneurship for the end success. It's truly about the journey and everything you learn along the way. And I think oftentimes that really does get lost in the mix because we always see other people's success in entrepreneurship. And so we think like, hey, why am I not having that success? Or why is this not working out for me like it worked out for that other person? So going back to your original point is I have been very mindful of what I share on my journey. I don't want to just share all the wins. I want to also share the challenges in hopes of inspiring more people to turn to entrepreneurship
Mm,
without false hopes, with what
right.
the reality is. And it does bring a lot of joy and there are a lot of wins, but there's other things too.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things I've learned from you, and you introduced me to David Meltzer, so thank you for that. He is just phenomenal. I mention him all the time, but one of the things he says is find someone who's where you want to be and ask them how they got there, or find
Yes.
somebody who's done what you want to do and have them help you. And that's been so helpful to think about that. But it's also difficult because you're like, who do I ask? Like,
Yep.
how will they help me or why will they help me? So I think it's important for people to ask for help, and don't, as an entrepreneur, don't feel like you're alone. You're not the only one who's ever gone through all the stuff that you're going through, the ups and the downs and all of that. So reach out and get someone, a mentor, get people that have been there. And I just had an epiphany on that the other day, and I found someone that I've connected with, and I'm hoping that journey will start for me. But it is a journey, and you should enjoy it. But I think the other thing I think you've taught me too is that you have to always remember your why. Why did you start your business? And if it's all about making money, then it's just you're always going to struggle,
Yeah.
because it shouldn't be about the money. And David talks about that a lot, about, we shouldn't place a value on the money. If our life should be good now, and we'll get there when we have more money. But it just, so it's a really good lesson that I've learned from you. But so Spousely, tell us more about Spousely, and what entrepreneurs can expect to see there, what people, how you're supporting the communities.
Yeah, before I dive into that, I do want to touch on the one thing that I absolutely loved about when I first met David Meltzer on my journey was that exact piece that stuck with me and resonated. He said, ask for help. You
Yeah.
can't be afraid to ask for help. And I
Yeah.
remember my first year in business, I was so afraid to ask for help. I was like,
Right.
okay, I have to figure all of this out. I have to
Yep.
do it. I'm building this community. I don't want people to think like I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
Right.
it's all these like, outside factors.
Yeah.
And as I started, getting to know him and listening to his messaging, I was like, oh my gosh, asking for help is actually a good thing, because then
Yes.
it allows other people to see where you're at in your journey and ways that they can help you piece the puzzle together. So
Yep.
I love that you mentioned that, because that's something that has just stuck with me over these past 5 years.
Well, and do you think it's harder for women too to ask for help, because we've struggled with so many bias and barriers in business, especially, and being leaders in business, that we don't want to appear weak. I know for me, coming from the Navy, when I was in the Navy those years ago, I couldn't ask for help in the Navy because they didn't want me there in the first place. And the first sign of weakness was like, see, we told you shouldn't be here. You should, so it's somewhat the same in business. And you have to find those really trusted people that you can go ask for help. And don't be afraid to, if the first person you ask doesn't want to help you, shame on them.
Yeah.
Right. And keep going, and keep asking for help. But yeah, it is a hard hurdle to get over, but yeah,
Yeah. That's
good
why
advice.
I have been very dedicated to using every no that I get as the fuel to my fire. So even
Right.
though it might hurt in that moment or for a week or maybe a couple weeks, that no definitely helps fuel you forward. So
Yes.
embrace the no's and don't be
Yes.
afraid to ask for help. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, on the Spousely front, Spousely is basically like Etsy meets Angie's List, but all military and first responder owned businesses.
Nice.
So it's honestly so much more than just a place to shop. We are truly a community supporting
Yeah.
one another, both
Yes.
personally and professionally, which I absolutely love. It has turned into so much more than I ever could have imagined when I was first getting started.
Nice.
For those that know my story with it, or for those maybe that don't know the story, I was in a car ride with a few fellow military spouses. And I just remember thinking in that car ride, there was so much talent. There was a private investigator, there was a spouse that made coffee, there was a
Wow.
photographer, there was me that loves business. And I was like, okay, if there's this much talent in one car ride going
Right?
to dinner, I can only imagine what this entire community looks like. And so
Yeah.
I started, doing my research, and as you know, there's millions of businesses owned by our nation's heroes.
Yeah.
And to me, our nation's heroes are those who serve, whether it's military or first responder, and their families.
Yes.
And I really want to continue to help others see that entrepreneurship can really help, provide flexibility, stability, and a creative outlet when needed most. And
Yeah.
that really is the core of everything that we do. Um, it's definitely been an uphill battle. We launched right before the pandemic, so
Wow.
we've just been continuing to, grow organically and on a bootstrapping budget, which, as you know, that's a lot of entrepreneurs' story. They're bootstrapping. We're trying to do the best that we can, and you just get as resourceful and scrappy as possible. And now that we just hit our 5-year mark, I actually have come up for air over the past year. I
Good.
worked really hard to get Spousely to a place where it is auto running, and we have an amazing small team behind it. And I think that really speaks volumes of just what we're doing as a community,
Yeah.
because I no longer have to do the daily grind of growing Spousely. Now it's truly the power is in us and all that we're doing to spread the word and to grow. And so it's been a really beautiful business model, because the more Spousely grows, the more the vendors grow. The more the vendors grow, the more Spousely grows. And like
Sure.
I said, the platform runs itself now that I've poured everything over the past few years into
Good.
laying a strong foundation. It has
Yeah.
allowed me to come up for air and continue to tap into all of my other business passions. And I
Yeah.
think that's something I think that we should probably chat about, because
Yes.
it's a big area that I think oftentimes people get stuck in. I think
Yeah.
with entrepreneurship, we're taught that you have to be all in. You have to have a co-founder. You have to do this. You have to, if you want to raise capital, you have to check all these boxes, like all these, like you immediately get placed back in a box for the same reason that you left the box. I'm like, it's so
Right.
confusing. I don't
Yes.
understand. And so I finally decided to take charge of my own narrative with my own journey in entrepreneurship. And what I found is that you can still tap into all of your other passions, and you can still pursue all of them while thriving in entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So I want to touch on a couple things, and then we're going to talk about build, thrive, and launch. Did I say that right? Build,
Yeah,
thrive, and launch.
BLT, build, launch,
Yep.
thrive, BLT.
Love that. So a couple of things. One, I didn't know the start or the impetus for Spousely in the car ride. So that's great. New knowledge that's so great, because a lot of times people are in those just natural settings and they're like, wait a second, I have an idea for this and I
Yeah.
can do it. Right. And then they take and run with it, which is great. And then the other thing I think that you mentioned is, you have to keep being scrappy and believing in what you're doing, and just keep evolving it and keep at it. So that's great. All right, let's talk about BLT. I love, did you know it was going to be BLT when you started it?
So it kind of all happened like at the same time. First of all, I love food. I'm powered.
Okay.
I always say I'm powered by carbs. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
only natural that I would be thinking about food while I'm also thinking about how I'm going to continue supporting people in this capacity. And so when I was coming up, with the name, I was like, oh my gosh, everything that I do is my favorite stage of this journey is the build, launch, thrive process. It's really taking that idea and turning it into
Nice.
reality. That's where I thrive the most. That's where I help people have the
Yeah.
biggest breakthroughs. So I just, it's something I've been wanting to do. It's something that a lot of people have encouraged me to do. And
Yeah.
then, as I mentioned, when I did come up for air, I also took on a really great, awesome role at another company. And I wanted to be able to still help in the capacity that I'm used to helping, but I needed to not I don't have any additional time available. So I needed to create something that people could take at their own pace, as
Mm,
well as dump my knowledge into it of what I would normally be working with them on in a
sure.
one-on-one. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's a really great course to help pour the foundation for any new e-commerce business owners.
Love that.
Like I said early on, I'm really great at helping people take a hobby and turn it actually into a thriving business.
Yes.
So this course helps pour the foundation on all of the simple things in terms of, making sure that you're doing all of your market research, making sure you understand who your ideal customer is, what your
Mhm.
strengths and weaknesses are as just a individual, and how that will roll into your business,
Yep.
and marketing strategies, customer service, just all of the basics that oftentimes we all get overwhelmed on.
Yeah. And you touched on another point too. I want to say is, you've brought Spousely to a point where you can step back from the day to day, which is great. And all entrepreneurs strive for that. So there is hope for all of us out there that we can do it. And this course will help do that. So that's amazing. And it's online, on
Yes.
demand. People can go at their own pace, learn from it. It's also kind of, I think, you're also kind of in the real estate investing. You do a lot of that. So it makes sense that this whole course is about building a foundation, because that's really the main part of doing anything. And we talk about that a lot in the skills based hiring model too. That builds a foundation for long-term success when you do it right the first time, and you look at your staff and your team from a different perspective so you can build that future. So that's awesome. Excellent. So tell us, you're a military spouse. Thank you so much for your service. Military spouses do not get enough recognition. I say it a lot. I was a former military spouse while I was on active duty, as well, and then after. But we don't get enough, or we don't give them enough praise and support. It just kills me sometimes. I could go off on a tangent about it, but they don't wear the uniform that's given to them by the government, but they wear the uniform of this country. And thank you so much for all that you do. Being a twin mom, let's talk about that. Your twins are adorable. I want to touch on them before we kind of close out with your thoughts, but tell us about being a twin mom and a military spouse on top of that.
Yes. So the fun fact about being a twin mom is I always said I was going to be a twin mom ever since I was a really young girl, even
Really?
playing with my dolls. I had two
Oh my
dolls that I
God.
called my twins. And it's
Wow.
actually pretty wild because I have shared it before on LinkedIn and I need to share it again. But the dolls actually look just like the twins. One has darker hair, one has
No
lighter
way.
hair, one's a boy, one's a girl. And
Wow. Okay, I just got chills. That's wow.
it's pretty wild because I don't know. I do believe in manifesting, but I mean, this was a whole nother level of manifesting because
Yeah.
I just have always said, I've always put it out there how I would love, love, love to be a twin mom. I'm an only child, so I
Okay.
always dreamed of, having a sibling and being able to have like that built-in best friend. So the fact
Sure.
that we got twins right away was just a huge blessing,
Oh my
and
gosh.
they've continued to be a part of our journey from the start.
Yep.
When I had them, they were actually NICU babies. They were in the NICU for
Oh
37 days.
oh
But
my
I
God.
always say that the NICU actually taught us as a family so much strength as well as a
Yep.
routine. We kept the routine from the start, and we have never changed up the routine in terms of like they're
Wow.
very structured. That's how we operate in our
Yep.
house. That's how we're able to do all of the things we love, is because we have a routine in place. And
Yep.
so the twins were 3 when I started Spousely. But before that, they know me still as always working. I only took about 6 months off of maternity leave, which was actually really, I'm so grateful for that. I got, 6 months looking back at the time and everything.
Yeah.
Um, but I've always worked. I've always worked from home. It's been a really great opportunity because they get to see firsthand, what it takes to follow your dreams and to challenge yourself in new ways. So they've
Love
been a
that.
part of everything, and I love now that they're getting older because now they're always like, "Ooh, can I make a business plan?" Or "I want to start this business." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I like this for
Okay.
you." So it's exciting. They're always watching and learning.
Yeah.
On the military spouse side, I've been very, very lucky there as well. My military spouse journey has not been a normal spouse journey because we're lucky to be stationed in Vegas for about 10 years. So
Wow.
a majority of the military career has been with stability. So we did
Sure.
recently just move, and it's challenging. My heart always goes out to all of the families that are actually truly moving every 2 to 3 years, if
Yeah.
not sooner.
Yep.
It really, I mean, the only word I can describe is challenging. It's an
It is.
opportunity for so many new things, and you can
Yeah.
embrace all of the opportunity. But at the end of the day, it's challenging, as
It
you
is
know.
challenging. But it shows the resilience in both military children and military spouses and the resourcefulness of those. And again, that's, we talk about that a lot, that you want someone like that, especially in a small business. You want somebody that can be resourceful, can be resilient, can think out of the box, can think quick on their feet, can adapt. There's just so many good things about military families. And again, we don't get enough, we don't do enough to support them in my opinion, but
Oh, I agree. I think that
yeah,
there's just so many skills that you learn along the
yeah,
way of this journey that cannot be taught. I mean, I talk about it all the time on my LinkedIn. Like, there's so much that cannot be taught in a classroom, cannot be
yeah,
taught, in that type of setting. It's truly just what you pick up along the way and how it continues to shape you into, a strong leader or
yeah,
employee or entrepreneur, whatever it might be.
yeah, absolutely. All right. So as we close out, what's your best advice from your BLT course, your Build, Launch, and Thrive course? What is your best advice for somebody who's thinking about becoming an entrepreneur?
Yes, the best advice I can give is perfection is not key to success. And I
Yeah.
think oftentimes people hold back from even taking the leap, even if they have an amazing idea or an amazing product, they hold themselves back
Yeah.
because they are so worried on how they're going to make it all work, as well as creating a perfect company. And you do not want to do that. Perfection, being a perfectionist is very challenging. I mean, I'm a perfectionist and it
Me
has
too.
in the way many, many times. So
Yes.
my best advice is perfection is not the key to success.
Yeah.
What is the key to success is embracing the journey, showing everything unfiltered if you can. Let people be a part of,
Yeah.
the start through the middle, through the end, whatever it might be. So
Yeah, absolutely. And let people help you. I think that's another thing we've learned from David is that people want to help each other.
yes,
And if you don't ask for help and you're denying someone in your network, in your circle, in your family, whatever it is, you're denying them the opportunity to do something for you that they love that will make them feel good. So that's something I've had to really embrace too. It's like, okay, asking for help is courageous, number one, but
yes.
it's also allowing somebody else to feel good about, because I know how much I like to help people,
Oh yeah, me too.
right? So yeah, absolutely. Well, what's next as we close out? What's next for Monica Fullerton and all the things that you've got going?
Uh, Honestly, it's just embracing being multi-passionate. I want to
Good.
continue to thrive in different areas. We mentioned the real estate investing, helping
Yeah.
e-commerce entrepreneurs, all of the things. I really want to continue to empower more people to embrace being multi-passionate because for so long I feel like we've kind of been taught to kind of
Mm,
stick to one thing and
yeah.
stay in that lane, but there is opportunity to be able to embrace it all if you have the right routine and systems in place.
Yeah. Awesome. Excellent. Well, congratulations on all your success and thank you for all that you're doing. I just so admire you and you're just such an inspiration to me. So, and I'm just blessed to have you in my circle. So, thank you so much and thanks for being here today.
Yes, thanks so much for having me, Robyn. You're the best.